centrism will always be a thing, right? Because you need most people, or not necessarily need most people, but most people are not going to become engaged and specialized in all these different arenas of life in order to become a radical. And the more comfortable that you make people's lives in general, the more likely it is that a lot of folks are just going to tune out and not worry about, the fine details. As long as their lights stay on, as long as their water keeps flowing, as long as they can keep food on their table, hey, y'all keep doing whatever you're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And luckily, even though Bernie Sanders and very progressive, very hard, you could say far left, political figures, even though a lot of them have not been successful in getting to those seats of power, their ability of affecting the discourse has been monumentally positive and successful, especially in the last 4 years, as Bernie was able to present those ideas, those values, as being as a direct foil to not just Donald Trump and the right wing, but to centrism as we know it. Now, obviously, the sentiment was not felt strong enough to get him through the primaries, and that was partly because of the corralling of all the wagons, the corralling of support by the media, by the establishment, other political Democrats in the primary who have fell off, who couldn't even secure one state, around Joe Biden. But there was also the lack of support from our black elders, primarily in the South. Early in that primary, Bernie was, doing really good, and it's a good thing they weren't flaunting it too much, because when they had to go hit the South, when it's time to hit the South and parts of the Midwest, they were seeing that yeah. And it's not that black, and just to be clear, it's not that black folks, it's not that black elders weren't familiar with Bernie, who Bernie is or what he's done. It's not that they don't even dislike Bernie. Because you talk to a lot of black elders, or that, surveys done and just, listening to them, they say that, yeah, while they like Bernie and obviously they're in simpatico with him and all the things that he wants, that pragmatic side kicks in. And when they ask, okay, who do you prefer, or who do you think could actually win against Trump? And it was like, they got to go with Biden, And the thing is, I'll give credit to the institution, to the centrists, and to the neoliberal establishment. They've been able to keep this ship afloat, not from just dumb luck, but because they are calculating, saying motherfuckers, and they know how to make certain deals. The fucked up thing is, and why centrism is now being shown to be so, it's not that, the thing about centrism that's happened, and why I decided to title this shit, Centrism Is Dead. Yes, this is an expression of how I would prefer things to be. Without a doubt, I am biased. I definitely prefer things to not be centrist. Because the problem with centrism that has been uncovered for so many people is that when you have figures in a system whose primary goal is to keep it afloat, no matter how many people you have to throw into the gears of the machine as fodder, that becomes a problem. And it was really underscored during 2020, obviously, because everybody couldn't be at home. You had the combination of the response to the police and their usual fuckery, and then you also have the economic conditions getting worse for more people than it ever had before. Many people who were eating just fine, whose water was running and whose lights were staying on, suddenly found themselves in a predicament, either because they were finding their shit getting cut off, or that because other people's stuff was getting cut off, they couldn't receive whatever payments, saying that they were expecting from them. And it just fucked up the whole chain. But with that, and then also coinciding with the political election, very heated sequence of events, a lot of people watching very closely from a bunch of different camps and perspectives, it made people realize just how incompatible some other people's views are. Straight up. Centrism is, by definition, in any sense of the word, is existing at the supposed equal point, or equidistant between all of the main sets of value systems, right? So a centrist, in today's terms, right, will be somebody who thinks that, I think there's points that are made to be had from kind of Bernie Democrats, and that there's also points to be had from saying Trump supporters, from MAGA. And while I said earlier that yes, that I am anti-center, that I am very anti a very specific kind of center, because the sense of liberalism and conservatism, that's on a sliding scale. Everybody has different things on which they may be more liberal or conservative on. But what's a little harder to question is stuff where it shouldn't really be up to just any random person's opinion. Whether we're talking about a pandemic, a virus that has killed millions of people around the world and done permanent health damages to hundreds of thousands more. Whether it's to addressing climate change and recognizing the impact of human action and human activity in hastening that process of emitting more greenhouse gases and helping create a warmer, global temperature for the Earth, or the depleting of resources, or actually I shouldn't even say the depletion of resources, because it's really just about the distribution of the resources.